Welcome back. Thanks for staying on. The Dukes of Cambridge and Sussex, Prince William and Prince Harry, have paid tribute to their grandfather, Prince Philip. Prince William has described him as an extraordinary man, while Prince Harry said he was a man of service, honor and great humor. This comes as the country prepares for the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral on Saturday. Daily Express news reporter Naomi Adedukun joins me now from Manchester. Naomi, good evening, and thank you very much for your time tonight here on the Newsfeed Late Night. Talk to us about what we have been hearing ahead of the funeral on Saturday and some of the events that have been taking place.
Yeah, so thank you for having me on. Obviously, there's a very somber tone in the country at the moment. He was a man he was 99 years old. He'd been with the Queen for 73 years. So there's a lot to unpack in terms of his legacy. As you said, the funeral is going to take place this Saturday, the 17th of April. From what Buckingham Palace has said, Prince Philip was known to be someone who didn't like fuss. So they're honouring his wishes in that way. So a lot of it will be toned down. He's not having a state funeral. There's not going to be the bells and whistles as per usual. But what will happen is that the family will congregate at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. St. George's Chapel is, as people might know, the place where Harry and Meghan were actually married. And then there'll be a ceremony there, and it will be televised. And there'll be a national silence at 3 p.m. as well. So those are some of the details that we know about the actual funeral.
Now, of course, this is the first visit of Prince Harry coming back to the UK since him and his wife stepped back as the senior royals last year. And, of course, also coming back after that interview they've had with Oprah. How was the reception?
Yes, it was an interesting reception. He got back here yesterday, Sunday, around the afternoon, and he was pictured at Heathrow Airport in London, and he's gone back to Nottingham Cottage, which is a residence on the Kensington Palace estate, which is actually where William and Kate typically live with their children. He was trending on Twitter today, on UK Twitter today, and a lot of people were very happy to see him, actually. I think there was a lot of positivity there. But at the same time, there's apprehension. I think people are a bit worried that, there's going to be a focus on him and his relationship and how his relationship looks with the rest of the family on the day. And then there's a fear that this might overshadow or undercut the actual tribute to Prince Philip. But rest assured, eagle eyes will be on them, watching how he interacts with the rest of his family, particularly with his brother William and with his father Charles.
Indeed, and I wanted to talk about that. His father Charles, how does he feel about his visit now to the UK?
Well, we haven't heard anything so far from Charles. The only thing we've heard from Charles is obviously when he came out to speak to reporters about his father. They're remaining quiet. There's kind of been a lockdown in the royal family. They're remaining quite tight-lipped about things. Not even kind of royal sources are kind of getting through as what we usually do. So we don't know for at the moment how Charles feels about Harry coming back. But you would think that because, the family's in mourning, this is a time when people usually forget, lay down the spears and get together, that hopefully he'd be quite happy to see his son again, despite the circumstances.
Now, under the royal protocol, of course, you're saying this is not going to be a state funeral, but what is the role of the Queen in this whole process?
Yeah, so the Queen will still have to sign off everything. So any information that comes out, any decisions for the funeral, she signs off every single thing. So she's still at the head of the family. It's just unfortunate that she doesn't have her partner by her side as she has for the last 73 years. And when it comes to the funeral, we're not sure they haven't confirmed yet as to who will be speaking or who will be, giving reading verses or sermons or things like that. But it would be interesting to see if the Queen would get up to say something. This is her husband after all, so she might say something for him. But in terms of planning and things like that, she's been at the forefront of all of that.
Yeah. Has been stipulated in any way if there will be any guests coming from outside and what the implications will be, especially with the COVID-19 protocols in place?
Yeah, so because of the protocols in the UK currently, if you have a funeral or something like that, then you're only allowed to have 30 people there. So obviously the royal family is quite big, so that means that most of the guests are just going to be the children, as in Philip and the Queen's children, and then their grandchildren. But there is, and that takes you to about, I think, about 21 people, or in the low 20s of people. So there are going to be people from the outside. We know that his private secretary is going to be there. So people like that who have been kind of vital to his life and integral to his life over the past how many years.
So far, reports indicating that Prince Philip will be laid to rest at the St. George's Chapel in Windsor. Is that in keeping with the royal protocol?
Yes, that is in keeping with the protocol. As I said, he's not having a state funeral. In a state funeral, he would be laid in a state and his coffin would be available for the public to go and see and like glimpse at him and things like that. But that's not happening. So at the moment, he's just being kept in Windsor Castle, on the Windsor Castle grounds. And then, like you said, when it comes to the actual ceremony, he'll be taken to St. George's Chapel. And then there is a tomb underneath the chapel, which many kings and queens have been buried there before, so he will be buried there.
All right, Naomi, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much for joining us tonight here on the Newsfeed Late Night. That was Daily Express news reporter Naomi Adedokun. They're giving us the latest update on Prince Philip's funeral here on the Newsfeed Late Night.